Our community loves storied rivals. Like
That's good.
I hear about it everywhere I go during the fall. They're like, I get asked because we're usually like a Wednesday or a Thursday release, and it's always like, come on, like, is it early? Got to get it early this week. I'm like, I don't know, man. They do what they do. I just post, you know.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, and covering 31 schools, it's
Yeah,
it's crazy to
they
try to get
love
them
it.
all out before every Friday. So,
Yeah.
well, Brent Ullery is joining us from Centerville football ahead of the 2024 season. Thanks so much, Coach, for joining us on our Shot Callers podcast with Storied Rivals. It means the world that you're here joining us tonight. And first off, just want to ask how your summer's been. Have you been able to take any trips with family this year, or just to kind of recharge for the new football season ahead?
Sure, it's been a great summer. I mean, it's been chock full of football. Football. We've been traveling around, been took the team on the road a few times, but also had an opportunity to take the family on the road and was able to get the kids up to Cedar Point for a little weekend, which was awesome. And got the kids to the lake one weekend too. It was great. So yeah, it was a really good summer. Went by too fast. I'm not ready to start school next week, but
That's fair enough. Yeah, it's crazy that it's already here.
yeah.
So you're a big roller coaster guy, huh?
Oh man, I went to college to be a roller coaster designer. That's a
Really?
fact. Yeah, I obviously didn't end up doing that, but that's what I wanted to be when I was younger.
And then who would have thought? Who would have thunk it that you'd end up being a head football coach?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I and a math teacher. But we talk
Right?
about roller coasters whenever I can. So
Sure. Well, then you sprinkle it in every now and then.
yeah,
So
oh yeah.
that's fantastic. Well, first, I want to start with this question before we kind of preview your team for this year, because
Mhm,
this is a school that you played for, back
mhm,
in the day. What's
mhm.
it like? Like, I mean, what's the level of pride that you have to coach the team that you once played for?
I mean, it's a big deal. You know, when you think about it, like first of all, my dad was the head coach before I was, which is pretty cool.
Right. Of
Uh,
course.
and from starting back in the '70s, he was an assistant coach and kind of built his way up. And then, I went through college and everything, and I became the head coach later down the road. And you think about our alumni database and everything with guys like Kirk Herbstreit, Mike Nugent, AJ Hawk. I mean, AJ just was talking about us on Pat McAfee show just 2 days ago. So
That's crazy.
I know it's a tremendous sense of pride to know that you know we're so I guess well known, but at the same time that we're part of a program that's produced such great men like AJ and Mike and Kirk, and it's just our job is to leave this place a little bit better than we found it, and we take that very seriously at Centerville.
Yeah, that's well said. What some of your favorite memories, I guess, playing for because you played for your dad, and then obviously you ended up being an assistant on his staff before you took over. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
what are your favorite memories from playing, or just being on the staff, or just being around your dad and coaching or playing with Centerville?
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton. I mean, actually, my senior year, my dad's second year as the head coach, I got to play with my two younger brothers at the same time as well.
That's,
So,
I mean, that's awesome.
yeah, it was a phenomenal experience. Hard to pinpoint exact examples. I can remember a few, punt returns for touchdowns that were a really big deal to trot back to the sideline, and your dad's there waiting on you. That's a pretty big deal. And fast forwarding a little bit into coaching with them, being able to celebrate and share when like a lot of work comes to fruition and results in a touchdown or a win or a big play or whatever for the kids. When you celebrate with family, it's another level of excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you were a walk-on at Ohio State, and you were in the same receiver room as guys like Santonio Holmes, Tedd Ginn Jr. Troy Smith was the quarterback
Mhm.
there at the time as well. Jim Tressel is the head coach. I mean, are there any stories that you remember from your OSU days?
Yeah, I mean, a countless number of them. But playing with a Heisman Trophy winner and a future Super Bowl MVP, and guys like Teddy and Anthony Gonzalez and Brian Hartline's doing his thing at Ohio
Yeah, I
State right
mean,
now. Like
so
just
many
the
guys.
what people don't realize about that room is Tressel was great. Tressel was the man. Like everybody looked up to him. He did a phenomenal job. But like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain was Daryl Hazel. He was our receiver coach, and he was the guru of all receiver play. If you went up and watched Ohio State play or practice right now, you'd see Hartline doing 90% of the stuff he learned from Coach Hazel. And Coach Hazel's got a son now. It's a coach at Youngstown State, and actually lives down the street from me. About 15 minutes south, which is really cool. But he was a really instrumental piece in it. But if you're looking for a story, I could tell you a quick story about Ohio State. I remember learning about Tedd Ginn. He's a year or two younger than me, and he showed up for a player-led 7-on-7 one summer. And I always thought, I'm like, this guy can't be that fast, he can't be Olympic speed, So I was stupid because they had him at corner. He played corner before he played receiver,
Oh,
and
really? I did not know that.
I thought I threw a nice route on him one night in this 7-on-7 thing, and I thought I was open, and the ball was coming, and then the ball disappeared, and it was gone. He was gone the other way. And I didn't see it. I must have blinked because it was gone the other way. I was like, oh man, that's another level. That's NFL speed right there.
And we'll blame the quarterback. That wasn't on you. You
And
were open.
the
It was just
quarterback won the Heisman, so I
no, I
can't
know.
blame him.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to argue against
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a tough one for sure.
yeah,
That's so funny though.
yeah.
Um, well, let's move on to your Centerville Elks for this year. I mean, last year you guys were 9-3. You lost to Springfield in the playoffs, who eventually went on to reach the state championship and whatnot. But how has the offseason been with your guys, and just getting to see what you have returning, maybe some new guys stepping in that are a bit younger and whatnot? Like, what's just the offseason been like for your program?
Sure. You know, the same thing happened this offseason that's happened for about the third year in a row. And I think they're doing a really good job of learning from the guys that graduate before them. And that is, we have to take a month off. OHSA says you got to take a month off. And these kids beat down my classroom door and blow up my phone about, like, can we get back to work, coach? Like, we're tired of sitting still. And, that's only 28 days that they take off. And they were really hungry to get back in the weight room and get to work and start getting the ball in the air in the gym and everything. And it's really refreshing to see that, because when they're excited to get back in, you don't dread a long winter or a long spring or anything like that. It's exciting to be there with them. So they've been very motivated. Um, they've been very enjoyable. They're growing closer together as an off season, or in the off season as a team. It's very impressive to watch them work and work together.
Do you like the new rule that 7-on-7s can kind of take place at any time of year, and you kind of have access to your players, other than that one month you take off, you have access to your players almost kind of year round and whatnot? I mean, do you like that? I know there's some people that like it, some people that don't, because you want kids to play other sports and things, but what's your viewpoint on kind of the year round 7-on-7s?
Yeah, I'm one of the bigger proponents of multi-sport athletes. We'll push our kids into basketball and wrestling and baseball and track and all that. Lacrosse, we've had great dividends getting kids to play football from lacrosse, and I think it's going to hurt it a little bit. But I actually don't think the 7-on-7 rule is going to affect uh, that many athletes in Ohio. I know that they
Mhm.
schedule these things around the track season because that's the majority of the athletes. So that kind of plays in with baseball and everything, because your quarterbacks tend to be pitchers as well sometimes. But
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to affect as many people as you think. I think the kids that are going to be really involved in the 7-on-7 are the ones that were already working year round anyways, and hopefully they're multi-sport athletes, but they're also the ones that are catching balls, running routes, getting work in the gym with their quarterback or their defensive backs or whatever. Um, I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to take a couple years to dial in, make sure we get the right coaches in the right places and doing it the right
Right.
way. But I think it's going to end up being really good for Ohio, I think it's hard for Ohio to mess things up because of the level of coaching and the level of players in the state. There's such great players here, but there's so many great coaches around the state that, like, they're going to figure out the right way to do it, and then everyone's going to copy it. So, like, once somebody figures out the right way, we'll be dialed in, and it'll be a thing of the past, and it'll just be something we do.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% for sure. Now, one of the guys on your team, you have a guy that's committed to play D1 football at Purdue, an
Hmm.
offensive lineman, Kuol Kuol, who's 6'6", 260 pounds.
Yep.
I mean, just talk about the impact. I mean, for your offense, it's obviously tremendous, but like
Hmm.
when you see it through your eyes, just Friday nights on the football field, what
Hmm.
does he do, man?
He is, quick story about Kowal. He, rewind 2.5 years ago, and you would have saw a tall, lanky Bambi kid that his coaches were telling him, like, man, you've got a chance. Like, God's given you some things, and he only weighed about 210 pounds at the time,
Wow.
and we're like, you just got to close your eyes and put the work in, man. Just close your eyes and do the work. And he did it. He does it without batting an eye, without flinching at all. He just works his tail off, and that shows up on the practice field. He doesn't take a rep off. He doesn't take a period off of practice, and then in the games as well. Like, he's hungry to be better. He's hungry to be good. He actually really loves offensive line play. He's not one of those O linemen that thinks he should be a tight end or something like that. Like, he is. He loves it. He geeks out on it, and his personality, his demeanor is very infectious. He infects a lot of people around him with his positivity. It's just, he's an awesome kid. Love him to death.
Yeah, I was gonna say in 260, I feel like even for a guy that's 6'6" is probably on the leaner side for a
Hmm.
D1 offensive tackle. But I mean, like, was it just weight room and diet that enabled him to just put 50 pounds? Like you said, he was 210 before. I mean, is that just 50?
About 2.5 years ago, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So over the last couple years, I mean, just beefing up in the weight room, man, and
Yeah.
eating some chicken and rice every day, brother.
Yeah, he nonstop eats. We've met with nutritionists and stuff, and I've had him food log before. I mean, he's doing 7,500 calories a day. He's putting in the
Jeez.
work even when he doesn't want to eat. Like, he's doing all the right things, and he's intentional about it. And when you see him work in the weight room, you're seeing these weights just get thrown around, and even for as long and as tall as he is, to hang clean and deadlift the way he does, it's impressive, and he's earned every bit of it, and he'll continue to earn it. We're excited for him to go up to Purdue and get underneath their strength staff and really develop, because
Yeah.
better for that kid.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Some other guys on your squad this year, offensive side, defensive side, that have kind of stood out to you this offseason. Could be some returners, some new guys stepping in that are younger,
Mhm.
that you just expect to have a really big impact for you on the field, come week one this year.
Yeah, our quarterback Shane Cole got a bunch of meaningful reps last year. He wasn't really ever in a situation where he had to be the guy. We had a senior quarterback that did a heck of a job in Drake Wells, but Shane played a lot of snaps, got a lot of good experience. Little side note: Drake was actually hurt in the summer, so Shane was our number one quarterback going through all the 7-on-7s and all that stuff. So that was great experience for him and allowed him to develop a little bit faster. So we're excited to see what he does leading the offense. He'll be our starting quarterback, and then we're returning a running back that started as a sophomore, and he's a wrecking ball. He's powerful. He's strong. He's fast. He's got one of the better visions I've ever seen in a running back in Parker Johnson, and I'm excited to see those two back there. Doing their thing. Handing the ball off and throwing the ball and everything. It's going to be quite the dynamic duo for us.
Awesome. And then what about on the defensive side of the ball for you? I mean, who's returning? Who's new that's stepping in that, is going to make life difficult for opposing offenses this year?
Sure, we've got some defensive linemen that they do a heck of a job, and if you saw them, I mean, they're big, they're strong, they're defensive linemen, but they don't necessarily, they're not your 6'6" long pass rushers by any means. They just do their dirty work through getting off the ball fast and violent, and being strong, and doing their assignment. Mason Keeley and Matt Jones are two defensive linemen that we expect big things out of, and on the other side of the defensive line. I guess he's an outside backer, but Jake Taylor does one heck of a job of setting the edge to the boundary for us. So those three will be anchors on our defense. We're returning a linebacker. He's our defensive coordinator's son, Jackson Puckett. Um, I'm going to guess and maybe lie a little bit for him that he's a 5'9" undersized linebacker, but it doesn't matter. Like, he looks small out there, but he does not play small. And the other coaches that we play against will tell you that he does a great job. So we're excited. We've got some returners on defense coming back that prove to be, reliable weapons for us. And then we had a young man transfer in, Zaire Alston, who's going to be a sophomore, and he's definitely someone to keep your eyes on. He's a tremendous athlete, one of the quicker guys that I've ever coached, and excited to see what he does, on our stage on Friday nights.
We're excited to see the Elks this year, man, and you guys get back to the playoffs and make a deeper run this year. And
Heck yeah.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to hop on a pod, man. And this was a lot of fun. It means the world that you hopped on tonight. And best of luck this year, man. And we're excited to watch you guys play this year.
We appreciate it. We love having you guys cover us, and we can't wait to see the product.